This is Law for Community Workers, podcasts for community and health workers. Hard Conversations is a series of 6 episodes about elder abuse. The series was originally recorded several years ago and we have refreshed it because unfortunately elder abuse has not gone away and remains an important topic to address. The people who have participated in this series have generously shared their understanding of elder abuse, how they think about it in their communities, and ideas about how we can address it together. Diana Bernard, who you will hear in this episode, no longer works at the Seniors' Rights Service. Diana managed and implemented many innovative programs with diverse communities. The Seniors' Rights Service continues to provide important legal, support and advocacy services in the area of elder abuse and other legal issues which affect older people.
So I think it's really important to find the key organisations that work with Aboriginal people or older culturally diverse people. So that's how we engage. We just sort of try and research what's available and see what the best thing is. So it's about engaging with people and organisations that are closely linked to people.
My name is Jessica Sullivan and I work in the Community Legal Education branch at Legal Aid New South Wales. Today we'll be speaking about elder abuse, which is a sensitive and sometimes confronting topic. We want this to be a safe space for listeners, so if you need support at any time, there are services that can help, and you can find their contact details in the notes below. Also, if you suspect elder abuse may be occurring to someone in your life, then please speak up. If you're on the Central Coast, you can call the Legal Aid New South Wales Elder Abuse Service directly on 02 4324 5611. And for anywhere else across Australia, please call the National Elder Abuse Helpline, which is 1800 353 374, and they will transfer you to the closest elder abuse service. These episodes were recorded and made on both Darkinjung and Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. We acknowledge that this is Aboriginal land, always was, always will be. In today's episode, we are going to be talking to Diana Bernard from the Seniors' Rights Service about their work in the area of elder abuse and some of the strategies they use to connect with diverse communities. So, Diana, I might just get you to introduce yourself and just tell us what your job is.
So my name's Diana Bernard and I'm the Manager of Education and Special Projects at Seniors' Rights Service. So Seniors' Rights Service is basically a legal and advocacy service which is free. The legal service I won't go into, but it does cover things like elder abuse, planning ahead, so wills, guardianship, power of attorney, that sort of thing, and retirement village and strata issues. It's a telephone service in the first instance and it's across New South Wales. So there's a 1800 424 079 phone number and there's our website. They ring up and people on intake ask them, are they after a legal service or an advocacy service or some counselling, and then they put them through to those right sections.
When you say advocacy, what services does that mean?
Oh, right. So advocates basically uphold people's rights, and so the advocacy service is more for people receiving Commonwealth funded aged care. So that's, as I mentioned a bit earlier, in residential aged care, or it might be people at home who are getting some sort of home care, and you know they might have issues with their carer or the hours that they're receiving or those sorts of things. And the ones in residential aged care might have issues about the sort of care they're receiving. Sometimes their family members might ring us, and that's fine as long as we can speak to the older person, because the older person is then our client. So we do also take on legal cases and take them to court, and we've won quite a few. And we do also see people in person if they prefer. On intake, we'll ask them whether they want to talk to a lawyer or an advocate. And if it's about elder abuse and it's not legal in the first instance, they'd be put through to an advocate.
Why do you think it's important to speak about elder abuse, and why does your organisation and you yourself advocate, I guess, to encourage these conversations in communities?
I think it's really important to understand what elder abuse is and what people's options are for themselves or their friends or relatives. And this is even more so at the moment in the current COVID situation, where adult children may have lost employment. And so there'll be more and more pressure on older people to pass on some money. And I think the more people hear elder abuse spoken about, the more it will seem like they're not the only person who's suffering this situation, but it's something that happens to other people as well, and they might feel more empowered to do something about it.
Why do you think people don't talk about it at the moment? What's stopping either the people who are suffering from elder abuse or just in general communities? Why do you think we are, hesitant to speak about it?
I think there are a lot of barriers to seeking help. It's generally, abuse is usually by trusted family members, and there's a lot of shame about that on the part of older people, that, these are their children and they think maybe it's their fault. Did they do something wrong? The abuser might also be their carer, so they're dependent on them and they don't want to report them for that reason. They may fear loss of contact with their children or their grandchildren, which is something that abusers do often threaten.
But that doesn't have to be the outcome, and I'm sure you've seen this in your work and the work of your service. I mean, it doesn't have to be a legal or a dramatic breakdown of a family relationship. I mean, if someone comes to you and is talking about elder abuse, what are the other kind of alternatives that are available than what people may think, which is just getting police involved or kicking people out of the home?
Yeah. I think it's really important to be sensitive, not to judge. Look at that person's circumstances and what their needs might be. Collect information. Talk to them about what the options are, and there are other options. Even when the abuser is in the home, they can get an apprehended violence order on a person who can still stay in the home. But if they don't want the police, don't force your ideas. Give them your follow-up contact details, and it might take quite a few conversations before that person trusts you enough to take action if they want to, or they might not want to take action, but at least they're informed about their rights and what they could do. It's always important to sort of link in with communities themselves and see what they really want. So I think it's really important to find the key organisations that work with Aboriginal people or older culturally diverse people. So that's how we engage. We just sort of try and research what's available and see what the best thing is. So it's about engaging with people and organisations that are closely linked to people. We had an Aboriginal consultant, which wasn't just about elder abuse, but it was about sort of linking us more with Aboriginal communities. So some of the things she did was she recommended specific people for cultural training. She encouraged us to do practical things. So our Dubbo advocate delivered water to the elders in Walgett to start a relationship with them, to then be able to talk about other issues such as elder abuse. There are a lot of multicultural community organisations. There's Illawarra, they're pretty good, and PCAC, or excellent really, and we've run a lot of forums with them, and because they know they have connections to community and they're trusted providers, they get 200 people coming along to forums, so you can then engage with them, and we've tried to do it in culturally appropriate ways. So for instance, we helped a Macedonian theatre group develop this little sketch on elder abuse. They were basically abusing the grandmother in terms of using her money and not taking good care of her. So they developed that into a little film, but we've used that at a lot of the multicultural forums. And then you can always add English subtitles or other different subtitles as well. I've done quite a little bit of work with an organisation in the Indian community called Usher. And I became aware that there wasn't really anything in language or that they could relate to. There were a couple of videos I used from Victoria. So we've developed our own now in a range of languages, Hindi, Mandarin, Arabic, etc.
And, it's difficult to go up to someone and say, I want to talk to you about elder abuse, so it's much more about changing the conversation into a way that an older person can relate to. So how were you, or how do you in your work, do you have those conversations with older people?
Well, I think not judging, providing information, it's very sensitive. People don't like to call it elder abuse. We did some work a year or two ago with the Older Women's Network, and we didn't have a very high turn up. And so we did a survey and asked them why they didn't come, and half of them said, well, we didn't come because I'm not being abused, so I didn't need to come. And then the other half said, oh, we didn't come because people might think we were being abused, so that's why we didn't come. So generally, if we run forums, we don't call it elder abuse, even if it's about something around that. We might call it something to do with respect. In fact, we often use respect in the title. And one example of that is something we ran around the time of the Elder Abuse Conference, which was a forum at the Panthers in Penrith. And it was entertainment, and we called it about respect. So the singer sang, R-E-S-P-C-T from Aretha Franklin and all that sort of thing. And we had little quizzes on things to do with elder abuse, and people got little prizes. And then we also had a panel discussion. So sort of interweaving entertainment with serious things, because it is a sensitive topic and you have to be careful how you approach it. But I don't think you pussyfoot around too much. You still have to call it what it is. I think for workers, what might help them is maybe joining, there are lots of elder abuse collaboratives, joining one of those, because in our collaborative we've developed a resource card for workers about how to refer people and where to refer them in that area in the Inner West. So the other ones will have similar resources for their areas. I know the Hunter's done some culturally diverse ones as well. Or people can ring, the Ageing and Disability Helpline, 1-800-628-221, and they can get advice as workers. Neighbours can get advice if they're worried about someone. And then I think, as I've been saying, link with culturally diverse or Aboriginal organisations that are trusted, so that they'll be linked up with communities. Yeah, and I guess if anyone wants to know more clearly what we can help with, so we would help with financial abuse. So, taking ATM cards, granny flats, signing over houses, all those sorts of things. And then, as I mentioned, with the advocates, they would also help with any sort of abuse in aged care or home care. So it might be not that someone's being physically beaten up, but, they're not being provided with an appropriate service for them. And we would also work a bit where there are situations like neighbours taking advantage of a vulnerable older person. They ring us in the first instance and then someone will talk to them.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's been great. Thank you for all of that, and just the info as well, just for my own knowledge. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Okay. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
There are a lot of voices and opinions to be heard throughout these episodes. We would like to thank everyone who participated and shared their opinions and expertise with us. As always, if you or someone you know is experiencing or at risk of elder abuse, then please speak up. If you're on the Central Coast, contact the Elder Abuse Service on 4324 5611. And for all other areas across Australia, you can call the National Elder Abuse Helpline on 1800 353 374 and you'll be directed to your closest service. So until next time, thanks from all of us at the Community Legal Education Branch and Elder Abuse Service from Legal Aid New South Wales.